Hey there, this is Daniel from WP103 and I'm testing WordPress plugins so you don't have to. It is June 2026 and we have our first 8 plugins to check out. And we start with PingBlink. This is a floating knowledge base announcement and offers widget. The plugin adds a new menu with 4 sub-menus and we check out the settings first. Here you can enable certain tabs like the help tab, news or offers tab. You can change the heading and subheading, also support email, and also you can change the icon to display and you can set the primary color. Also where it should shown, bottom right or bottom left. So I made already some knowledge base articles like 1 and 2, and we have a news article and we have some offers. Let's have a look. If you edit these, you pretty much get the block editor here and you can do whatever you do in the block editor. You can add pictures, you can add colored sections or whatever. In the front end we're getting then this icon. When we click it, we get the 3 sections here, and then we can click on any article and it renders then the article out. One thing to note, you can use all the blocks and multiple columns and stuff, but it's not really recommended. If we go on this news part here, you can see why multiple columns don't really work very well, because the space is quite limited. If we check out this page on our regular site, then it looks quite fine. Also with the multiple columns, with the colors. In this floating area we can see first of all the color is somehow different, and also the formatting doesn't really work. So I highly recommend to make it very simple. 1 column layout, basically as you would when you design for mobile. Once you opened one of these articles, you can also say if it was helpful or not. Let's say nah. And then you can see our helpful score here. For some reason it doesn't show up, although I said I didn't like it. The yeses or the thumbs ups got registered somehow. You can also see after you open one of the articles, you can horizontal scroll here. That doesn't seem like it should supposed to be like that, but if it is a design choice, fine. The plugin is in version 1.0.0. I tested the free version. There is no paid option. It is available in English only and it doesn't require any other plugins. What I like about the plugin is that you have these 3 categories that you can also turn on and off. It is really easy to use and understand, and also the offers are getting highlighted. When you add a new offer, there is a little icon that shows that there is a new offer. And also it has a helpfulness score, and that's pretty cool. Although this doesn't seem to work 100% yet, but I'm pretty sure that's something that can be figured out. What I didn't like about the plugin is that bright primary colors that you can set in the settings don't really work, because the text cannot be changed. So it will be then just white text on yellow, for example. So that's not ideal. Styles in the pop-ups are a little bit off, as I showed you before. And also there is a horizontal scrolling bug. It also sends a lot of requests for analytics. Basically every click gets tracked. And this can lead to a 429 error, too many requests. So that's something that should be fixed. And also the plugin claims to have some smart visibility rules. I could not find any of that, so I'm not sure what that's supposed to be, but yeah. All in all, a pretty solid choice, and therefore I would give it a 4.3. Next up is BoxCart. This is a click and collect shop system that doesn't rely on WooCommerce. So BoxCart adds a dashboard here as the first submenu. Then we have orders, products, categories, pickup location and settings. And as always, let's check out the settings first. And here we have quite a lot. In the general settings we have pricing, if you want to enable pricings or not. We have some currency settings and some tax settings. In the products you can enable a stock keeping unit, stock management options, and the page setup is very important. By default, BoxCart doesn't create these pages for you, so you have to create them. You have to add the block or the shortcode to these pages, and then you have to define them here. That's something that is not really told anywhere, so if you don't look into the settings before you actually use the plugin, then you will run into some issues. In the collection tab, we have some scheduling options. We have slot selection and availability messages. The orders tab allows us to modify the order number format and also the status workflow, so which statuses should be available. In the payment section, we have a cash on collect and a bank transfer as payment options. If you update to the Pro version, you also get different other payment options. Under accounts, we can then allow users to create an account and also some different options regarding that. We have some email options. Every time somebody orders something, they get an email and you get an email, and they get an email when it's ready. So you can then adjust the branding here, and also you can change the from address and stuff like that. Here we can preview the email. That doesn't work yet, but the developer promised that it will be fixed. Under styling, we have a lot of options to really fit this to our current theme and to our colors we're using. We can change the typography, colors in general, how the buttons should look like, and quite a lot, so that's really good. The sidecar is a slide-in basket that comes then as soon as you put something into the basket. You can change its appearance or you can also deactivate it. Shortcodes shows us all the available shortcodes. If you're using the block editor, you can just select the blocks. You don't need to mess around with the shortcodes. Last but not least, we have the MISC tab. Here we have some reset to default options and some tools to export and import settings. That's really cool. And also something that I always like is a clean uninstall function. But let's go to the products next. And I created 3 products here. Opening a product, you can change the name and description as well as the article number, and you can define if it should be out in stock or in stock. Also the unit and price for the unit can be defined here. We have a picture that we can choose, and we can choose if it should be visible or not. In the front end, that looks like this. We have our products here, and we can see the out of stock one cannot be interacted with. Before we can add it to the basket though, we get this message here that we have to select our time slot. This time slot can be defined here under pickup locations, under time slots, and then we can say, okay, we want to have Friday to 5. Back in the front end, we can then select our collection slot. We have to select the location, and then we can select the date as well as the time slot. The more slots you add here, the more you can control when people are actually showing up. So 8 to 5 is maybe a little bit too broad, but let's take that. As soon as you confirm that, you can then put stuff into the basket. Let's say we want to have 2 kilos of apples. There's our side basket. 1 melon. It looks like the side basket only opens for the first item, but not for the second. We can also add a little icon here, for example, into our header. That shows us then the basket here. The BoxCart basket page itself just shows us the basket. You can integrate that in any other page you want. We can then either continue shopping or proceed to the checkout. Let's do that. We see our order details here, punch in our name, then it shows again the collection details. If you want to change them afterwards, you can also change them here. You cannot change the location though, or maybe it's because I have only one location. We accept the terms and condition. If you click here on bank transfer, you get the information about the bank transfer. Let's do the cash on delivery and place the order. This is then the BoxCart checkout screen. This is then the email for the shop owner, and here we have the email for the customer. Back in the backend, we have also some categories that we can define. We have only fruits here now, that's fine. Then in the orders, we have our new order that just came in here. We can open that and change the status to ready, for example, and there is another email then which says that your order is ready. And that's pretty much it about the plugin. Let's have a look at the pro features very quick. We have some multiple pickup location, Stripe payment, different storefront views, customer favorites, multi-quantity products. So if you have a product that has per 100 gram and per kilo, for example, you can have that. Two-way order messaging, customer side order modifications, holiday closures, printable pick lists and picking slips. That's pretty cool. Sales reports, CSV exports, and even more customization options. The tested plugin was in version 1.0.0. It was the free version. There is a paid version. It is available in English, and it doesn't require any other plugins. And as always, the question, do you need the pro version? Probably yes, especially when you want to offer more payment options, but I think the free version has already a pretty good set of features. What I like about the plugin is it has quite a beautiful design. It has a clear purchase path with also messages when something goes wrong. You can import and export settings, and in general you have a lot of settings. You have a clean uninstall option, and it is very developer friendly. What I didn't like about the plugin is that this mini basket icon does not get rendered when it's not on a BoxCart page, and some smaller bugs like that the preview wasn't shown in the email settings, etc. But all in all, I would say it's a really solid plugin. I give it a 4.8. Up next is the Search URL Beautifier. After installation, we get under Settings Permalinks a new section here, Search URL Beautifier, and here we can change the slug for our search results. And as you can see, we can also include emojis. We can also change the title as well as the meta description. And last but not least, we can reset to the default values. Let's have a look. And as you can see here in the URL, we have now the slug as well as the word we were searching for. And that's pretty much it. One thing to note here is that it modifies the search query. If you have, for example, your products that are normally in here, it doesn't work with that. For that you need the pro version that also supports WooCommerce, but with the free version you don't have that. The tested version was version 7.0. I tested the free version. There is a paid option and it is available in English. The pro version features are pretty much that you have the support for WooCommerce. So if you have a WooCommerce site and you want to use this plugin, then I highly recommend, or then you have to use the pro version. What I like about the plugin is that it has Unicode support and also emojis, so you can style your slug pretty much as you like, and also that you can customize the title and description fields. What I didn't like about the plugin is that it doesn't work on all setups. I tested it on another website and there it just did nothing. Also, it changes the search result and excludes the WooCommerce. I don't know if this is a bug or a feature. Well, a feature to sell the pro version, fair enough. But yeah, I didn't like the fact that the query gets modified and some stuff gets removed from the search result. But all in all, it does pretty much what it says, and therefore I give it a rating of 4.5. The next one is another big one. It is called Mission, and it is a donation plugin, fundraising and recurring donations. So once you install the plugin, we get this setup flow here. We give some information about our organization. We can define the brand color. We connect our payment processor, that is Stripe, and there is not another one. We just skip that now because we don't have that. Then we can create our first campaign. We're also gonna skip that step, and then we're all set up. The plugin itself gives us then this main menu with a few submenus. We have the dashboard with some overview. We have the campaigns, transactions, donors, subscriptions, settings and tools. And as for always, we check out the settings first. Here we can mostly change what we just defined in the setup wizard. And also we can remove all the data and uninstall. Very nice. Some email options. We can define when the donation emails should be sent and from whom. And we can toggle them on and off. And we can also say who should receive them. If they're like admin notifications, you can, for example, say that all the payment related things should go to a different address. So that's really neat. We can activate or deactivate the donor portal where people can log in and then see about their donations. Under tools, we can export our data. Import doesn't work yet. This is a feature for a common versions. Also migration and the features tab are coming soon. We have some logs here, a little status check, that's always helpful, and a cleanup function. Going to the campaigns, we have our campaigns here. I created one. Let's go for this YouTube support campaign, and we can see there are no donations yet. We can edit the campaign page itself. We can also deactivate the campaign page if you don't need it. And here we have an integrated block editor that helps us to change minor things like this text here, for example. If you want to have all the features of the block editor, then you have to open it in the full editor, and then you can edit it as usual. All the blocks have certain options. Here we can, for example, select the campaign. This is usually pre-selected if you edit the campaign itself. So we can also then say we don't want to show the donors, for example. And in the donation form, we need to click on it, and then we get some form settings. And these settings, for some reason, you find only here. I couldn't find anywhere like a global setting where you can define them like for all the campaigns. You have to define them per campaign. And here we have a ton of settings. Again, we can predefine some amounts. We can set the minimum donation amount. We can require some donor information like the phone number. We have also the settings for the fees, like who pays the fees. And we can also give a fee to mission to, well, support their mission. There are some custom fields we can add. We can change the confirmation behavior, so we can redirect it to a separate URL. And last but not least, you can change the appearance and also the wording for buttons and headings and stuff like that. The edit confirmation gives you this thank you message that you can then customize. Back in the campaign, we also have a settings menu here where we can set the goal type. For example, if you want to have amount raised, so the goal is like to raise 20,000 euros, for example, or we can have it by number of donations or number of donors. We can define the start and end date of the campaign itself, and also what should happen when the campaign ends. In the danger zone, we can delete the campaign, and that's pretty much it. Under transactions, we have then the transactions, and in the donor list, we have our donors. And in the subscriptions, we can see the subscriptions. In the front end, then we have, besides the campaign details, we have also this campaign overview where we see all the running campaigns. Also on the top right, we have this mission test mode active. If you click on it, you get just redirected to the settings. I couldn't figure out how to disable this test mode. I assume it gets then deactivated as soon as you add the payment details. And that's pretty much it. I tested the version 1.1.7. I tested the free version and the only version because there is no paid version. It is available in English and it doesn't require any other plugins. What I like about the plugin is it has quite a nice onboarding. A cleanup function is always very welcome. It has a beautiful and simple design, and it is very developer friendly with many hooks. Also, the support is very fast. What I didn't like about the plugin is that the donation form settings are really hard to find. If you don't know where it is exactly, then you have really a hard time to find it. I think it would be nicer to have this somewhere in the campaign edit screen itself and not in the edit template screen, so that could be improved. But other than that, I would give it a solid 4.6. Up next is the Alpaca Issue Tracker, a lightweight issue tracker for WordPress. This plugin adds a new menu item called Project Board. Under that you'll find the project activity, configure, my notifications and email templates. So let's start with that. And here you have two options, either the instant emails or the daily digest. So if you have instant emails activated, then every time something happens with an issue, then you get an email. And in the daily emails, you get then a summary of what happened that day. Here you have a live preview, and then you can add whatever blocks you like here to style, and the preview updates automatically. In the My Notifications submenu, you get some preference settings. You can define what kind of notifications you would like to get. And also in the email, you can then define the email it should be sent to. Configure lets you configure the statuses, what kind of statuses should be available. The cards menu allows you to activate or deactivate certain data points. The labels is a little bit more customizable. You can add a new label, you can give it a color. If you delete an issue, then it gets here into that deleted items. And lastly, we have some debugging and content capture settings. In the project activity screen, we get a list of all the activities that happened, and in the project board we can then manage our issues. When we click on an item, we can see then the item details, we can change the priority, assign labels, and also people to take care of that issue. We can add a checklist, we have a timeline where we can also add a new comment. Under reports, we have then certain details when it was reported. We can see the queried object at the moment and some information about the headers. Apart from the menu here on the left hand side, we also get the widget on the dashboard. In the front end, we have a new bar here at the bottom. We can report an issue, or we can go to the project board. Let's click report an issue. We can, for example, say the styles are wrong here. It has a high priority, and let's submit. Going back to the board, we have this now in the backlog. It is red when it has a high priority, or like white when it has a low or an undefined. Let's assign myself. Let's define some labels. That is like prod version, and it is urgent. Can then leave a comment. So if you're the only user on this website, then this of course is not very interesting, but once you have multiple people working there, this is quite nice to have. And that's pretty much it. I tested the version 1.0.3. It is a free version, there is no paid version. It is available in English, and it doesn't have any required plugins. What I like about the plugin is it is really responsive and really fast. There are no artificial limitations. You can make as many items as you want. You can add quite a lot of details to the issue item, and it has email summaries, and it is very developer friendly. Also, I like the dashboard widget. What I didn't like about the plugin is that it adds another bar at the bottom instead of just putting the icons in the top bar, and also there is no user permission control. But all in all, I would say it has a lot of cool features and it works very well. It is really fast and lightweight, and therefore I give it a rating of 5.0. And after installing a shipload of plugins, this next one can be a real lifesaver. Notice Vault helps you to organize your admin notices. To really demonstrate this plugin, I switched to another installation where I have a shitload of plugins installed, and you can see we have a lot and many notifications here. So let's get rid of them. After activation, we have only one left, and this is on purpose because you can disable and enable certain notification types. So let's have a look at all the other notifications first. Here in the top bar we have a new icon, notifications, and also it shows how many notifications are on the red. And as you may notice, it removes all the styles and images and stuff, so you have really only the text notifications and like the links that are in this notification. We can sort it by certain types. We can, for example, sort it only by error messages or by warnings. We can also mark them all as red. Let's do that. And then they're all gone, except for the ones which are not dismissible. So like this error message here. Some of them will pop up again, and sometimes you have to click the no thanks. That doesn't work. Great. Okay, it looks like these buttons are sometimes not working when it is tied to a JavaScript function that would execute if you click that on the regular dashboard. So we just dismiss it here, and hope that it doesn't show up anymore. Let's test it. And yeah, some notifications are always coming again. Then we have on the top right and also at the bottom, we have open settings. I don't know why this has to be twice, but okay. This brings us to the settings, and here we have a Notice Vault submenu that allows us then to configure the plugin, and we can, for example, say here that the error notices should be always shown. That's pretty handy. So you can then disable everything except for errors and warnings, for example. Say do nothing. So all the warnings and errors will be still shown. We can change the appearance of the pop-up. So I set it up that it is showing up in the middle, and we can also say that they expire after 30 days, like the notices. We have some statistics on the side, and that's basically it. I tested the version 1.0.3. It is a free plugin and it doesn't have any paid version. It is available in English, and there are no required plugins. What I like about the plugin is it really cleans up and groups them nicely, removes all the styles and unnecessary things. And also it shows the notices by group. That's really handy, and that you can deactivate and activate certain groups from showing. What I didn't like about the plugin is that it breaks some of the dismiss features. So this notification will then just pop up all the time again. So you basically have to deactivate the notice vault or deactivate this category, dismiss the notification, and then activate it again. So it is then hopefully always gone. But other than that, I think it does a fantastic job, and I cannot wait to see more improvements for this plugin. Therefore, I give it a rating of 5.0. Next up, we have Scroll Chart. This adds animated diagrams to your WordPress posts. After installation, we get under the embeds a new block called Scroll Chart Diagram. We drag that in, and then we can either select a diagram that is already made, for example, crop rotation circle. We have the options to style it a little bit. We can change it to light mode or dark mode. We can change some accent colors, and also define if you want to show a border or not. The size is fit content, medium or small. I couldn't really see any difference changing these, so for me it was always the same size. And we can define if it should be loading immediately or just when it comes into view. We have the option to change the language. Once you saved it, you have to basically reload the post, so you get the preview here. Let's go to the front end and have a look. And also, I could not really make this bigger than it is now. This is just the maximum size. Even if we set the alignment to full width, it just gives us this size here. And it is really hard to read because it's very, very tiny. We can zoom in a little bit or even have full screen. And then for some reason it gives us another graph, so that doesn't really work here. And also for some reason we cannot get out of this full screen anymore without reloading the page. Also here we get some information about the diagram itself. Back in the editor, you may notice we have a generate with AI, and with this button we can basically generate any diagram we want. So let's say we want to see a chart of sizes of apples from 1990 to 2025, and we get an error. Okay, after I tried to fix the generate diagram option, I installed the plugin, but it doesn't show up anymore, and it just seems to be broken. I don't know. So we can actually also create this diagram on the website. Let's try it again. So it seems to work on the website, but not in WordPress anymore. And as you can see, if you just create a diagram, it just pulls data. I don't really know where it takes this data from, if it's just hallucinates it or... So to be honest, these diagrams are pretty useless in my opinion, because they don't really reflect real data when you just generate them like that. But you can also say like you want to have certain data points, and then the AI creates a diagram that works for this type of data. So yeah, I tested the version 1.9.0. It is a free plugin and it is available in English. There are no requirements for other plugins. And what I like about the plugin is it is quite easy to integrate, and it has a lot of different diagrams and different languages. But, and this brings me to the things I didn't like, is that, well, a lot is not working, including the languages, when I got it to work somehow. And also the data from the diagram is just pulled out of thin air probably, so they don't really mean anything. Also, you cannot really resize it, you cannot have it like full width and stuff like that. Also, once you generate a chart, you cannot edit this anymore. Also, you don't have control over the data. It gets sent to their servers, and once this service is not available anymore, then also your charts will not work anymore. So considering the fact that it was kind of useful when it worked, but somehow it doesn't really work anymore. It makes it really unreliable. So my original rating would be a 3.6, but without it working, I give it a 1.0. And last but not least, we have subtle icons, SVG icon block suite, icon picker, and ACF field. Once installed, we have a new set of blocks, 4 in total, and here you can see this different types. We have the button type, list, icon with text, and just the icon itself. Every block has different options, and a lot of options. We can change the leading icon and the tailing icon. We can swap them around. We can change their orientation, and also we can change the side, vertical alignment, and the width of the button itself. I think this is a default setting from WordPress. In the styles tab, we can then change the color of these icons. And you can see you have here 2 different styles of buttons. This is the same block, just so to show how you can style that. The list element gives you then a item list here, and here you can also change the icon, and also you can set a link to this list element. We have also the vertical align option again, as well as the icon color. If you selected the parent element of this list item, then you can change the colors and icons for all of the items. Otherwise, you change them individually. Then the icon and text block just adds a icon and then text after that. Also here you can change the icon, you can change the position, if it should be on top or on the right hand side or left. You can define a link, and also you have some size and alignment options. And lastly, we have the just icon. And speaking of icons, if you click on it, you get quite a lot of icons here. We can of course search also for something like building, for example, and it does not have any brands, so Facebook, Instagram and stuff like that, you will not find these icons here. It's more like general icons for all sorts of things like alignment, different arrow styles, different badges here and stuff like that. If you cannot find your icon, you can just add a custom SVG here with the font awesome. On the custom SVG we have then this font awesome SVG. If you add a custom SVG, then you cannot change the color anymore. If we go on the settings here, see we have the text color set to purple, but it is red because I changed it here under advanced. I added some additional CSS, but now it's black, so it doesn't really work. You need to modify the SVG a little bit. I did this here, an example. You can set the fill color and the stroke color, and then it works also with these selectors here. Let's have a look in the front end. So it looks pretty much the same as in the back end, except for this text plus icon that somehow doesn't respect the alignment. But if you put it in a group, for example, then it works quite fine. And that's what subtle icons has to offer. The version I tested was 1.0.8. It is a free plugin, there is no pro version, it is available in English, and it doesn't require any other plugins. What I like about the plugin is it has really a lot of styling options and size and colors and whatnot. It has 4 different blocks that you can choose from. Also the custom SVG code is pretty handy. Also, all the icons are inline SVGs, therefore very lightweight, and it doesn't add another request to download the icon itself. It is very developer friendly and it has a very fast support. What I didn't like about the plugin is that the line thickness and the color cannot be set for custom SVGs. To be fair, this is not something that you can really fix because there's so many configurations. And also it is very confusing to have then 2 blocks that are called icon, because there's also the native icon block and now this subtle icon block, and apart from the icon they look the same. But these are really small things, and overall I think it's a really great plugin and I give it a rating of 5.0. And that's it for that video. Thanks a lot for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I catch you in the next one.